same competition with the Louis XIV French, this time taking on, not here the bastions of Paris or some other European city, but taking on the might of the Ottoman Empire in another game of Art de la Guerre Renaissance, the third one of this competition. So you can see here a lot of the terrain had fallen on the Ottoman side. It's allowed the Janissaries to hide in some of this rough terrain here, make it difficult for my pike and shot to get into them. There's a lot of ambushes marked in the middle of the table here, which presumably is loads more Ottoman troops. And of course, this is Ottomans. This is the way Ottomans should fight. They've got buckets of troops. They've got a real big fortification here. They've got a load of old guns in front of it and some skirmishing cavalry just sort of pushed out front. I've kind of deployed not quite knowing what was going to happen, what was going to face, where they'd be deployed. I've just sort of deployed across the table ready to rush them. You can see those gaps in the formations. That allows my army to move forward in a sort of semi-checkerboardy type formation, move blocks them together as pseudo groups, see if my artillery can do anything. But it looks like the Ottomans are adopting a proper defensive approach. So here we go. My army starts creeping forward, and look, straight away some Janissaries appear from one of those ambushes. They're on the hill as well, so it's a long solid line over there. I'm trying to push up with my cavalry, get some shooting, see if I can chip away at some of these small units, well, literally very small units of old Mike's models, very old Mike's models, Ottoman horse, who are acting as a skirmish screen really to delay my army as long as possible, I guess, to get the artillery shooting in a lot. And the rest of the guys are moving up quickly. Over on the other side, very much the same sort of thing. You can see my infantry is sort of starting to move away from the firing zone of these guns. Looks like these poor chaps have been nominated to just basically take the brunt of it, and everybody else will rush in behind. This lot are drifting over to the right to try and face up and go into a shooting battle with these Janissaries here. I've got a few cavalry here to face off the Ottoman cavalry. My gun is probably out of range, and apart from against these guys, but really just this arc of fire, this corridor of fire from the heavy gun battery is causing me all sorts of problems and forcing me to redeploy in quite a dramatic way. And look, there's the action going on. A bit more people rushing about, a bit blurred in the dark of central London on a Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon. But here you can really see the army concentrate up on one side, really trying to pour its fire and get its cavalry to go and see if I can pick off some of these guys before we get into the battle. Each unit of these I can pick off. The Ottomans really need to pull them out as soon as they can, because otherwise each unit of that saves me having to fight and kill one of these units as well. And we're just avoiding the guns that these poor saps are wading up. This is really it, a solid line of shooting, pouring stuff into these quite hard to hit dispersed light cavalry. Over on the other side, same sort of thing is happening, but I've just got slightly less resources. I need more troops to face up those Janissaries in the middle, but cavalry in that, I should be able to push these guys back pretty quickly. So here the battle is starting to starting to develop a bit more. Bigger space in front of the artillery. A few more Ottomans have appeared here as well, and I'm ready to sort of form an exchange of fire here just to try and outshoot them. And then over on this side, all these guys are bunched up, ready to go into combat here, and these chaps are starting to take the brunt of the shooting, but with some reserves as well. Looks like my artillery have got involved in a bit of counter battery fire there and come off the worst to it. And here we go. You can see these guys are getting closer and closer to the guns, taking more and more hits. They've got the general personally leading them, trying to rally them, keep them going. But 3 hits out of 6 is pretty tricky when you're facing all those guns. But at least it means that the fire is being concentrated on one of my units, not any others. And here you can see we've sort of started to form a shooting line with some cavalry mixed in, try to stop the Ottomans coming off the hill, because that mix of cavalry and infantry is just a little bit more dangerous to the archers. And suddenly the second ambush reveals itself. It's a bunch of Yalar, mad fanatics, swordsmen. Again, very old school Mike's Models figures appear over the hill, getting ready to charge down and see how they do against traditional pike and shot units. And the line is now here, really, getting very close to the guns. This is going to get into lethal shooting range. Not in range of these guys yet over on that side, but here this is a nice solid line of firing to shoot, just trying to erode these people hiding uphill. They're very difficult to assault at the moment, hiding uphill in a bit of terrain, but hopefully I can outshoot them with more modern weaponry here. And let's see what these fanatics do when they come piling through that gap. And suddenly you get into close range of the guns. You may have seen it in some of the rules stuff, but that's pretty brutal. Suddenly we're up to 5 hits here. Even the ones behind are starting to pick up some bits and pieces and some shots there as well. But not quite in range of these guys yet, and we're hoping to exchange some shooting here. But I've occupied the guns and I may just about get into them. So yeah, fusillades, massive rounds of fire, musketry pinging into these guys. They're pretty resilient, they're tough, they're uphill. These guys have still not charged out yet. I pulled those cavalry out. They were taking a bit of a pasting from the bowmen, and I'm just concentrating the cavalry over on this side. So here, getting ready for a proper shooting match against the Ottomans in the terrain. They're not showing any inclination to come out. They want to let their guns do as much as possible. Their cavalry are not coming out either. They're just waiting while I advance. And that unit's gone. It's just been utterly blown away by the artillery park. That puts these poor second line guys in their firing line with 4 hits as well already. They've been taking a real kicking from these heavy guns. Is anyone going to be able to get in there and get over the top of them? I'm going to end up having to allocate some of these guys on the flank as well to do it. And you can see they've now drifted across. They're getting ready to assault the guns. It's left me pretty light to take on these Ottomans with just 1 unit here. My cavalry are going to have to join in. This lot are too battered to keep going forwards. But these chaps are still here exchanging fire. That's gone to yellow. A few more hits on these other Ottomans. So we're starting to win. And looks like someone's been rallied there as well. The hit markers have gone from my side. So I'm winning out on that exchange of fire. And finally, I've managed to catch up with some of these light horse as well, get my own cavalry into action. But quite what I'm going to do after that to assault this formation, who knows really. And suddenly the ALARs come charging down, steaming off the hill. They piled into 2 of my infantry units. That's a good ratio of me. The rest of the Janissaries don't want to fight. They don't want to be overlapped yet. They're still hanging on, waiting for the guns to do their stuff. So let's see how the ALARs do. Let's see how these guys do. Well, as I've pushed one of the infantry units over to take on the guns, it looks like they've just taken one of the guns out there, but taken a bit of a pasting as well. I've had to support this 1 infantry unit with 2 cavalry. The Ottoman swordsmen have decided this is their chance. They've rushed out, decided to take these guys on, damaged as they are, while the rest of my cavalry bottle up the enemy cavalry in that corner. So there's a lot of fighting going on. The ALRs are taking a few hits. My guys are taking a few hits. There's a bit of a struggle going on here. We've got over the wall. We've done one of the guns here, and hopefully we can get into the next one soon. But the Ottomans taken a lot of hits there. There's reds and greens, and my guys are not too battered. The cavalry mix seems to be standing up quite well. There is a bit of a reserve second wave, but there's still quite a lot of hits racking up everywhere. And here you go. The Ottomans have not crumbled, and my cavalry are starting to wilt. Infantry is starting to wilt. These guys have conformed across to try and take on the guns as well. The ALARs are still fighting, but they look like they're losing out quite badly. And I'm just trying to pin these guys back with more cavalry taking some rather iffy charges almost into terrain as well. But it's all pretty desperate here. But in terms of desperate, this must be a bit of heroics from the Ottomans as an Ottoman general. Cavalry and a whole block of infantry over on my right have been wiped out, leaving these guys rather isolated. That attack has just completely petered out. This wing has dashed itself on the rocks of Ottoman combat. And here, with these guys looking weak, I've managed to get cavalry round, create some space, get cavalry into their flank, charge up the hill into them. Not ideal with my guys, but with the cavalry in the flank, hopefully that makes a difference. It looks like the important unit to kind of sweep away and knock a big hole in this flank of the Ottoman army. And the ALRs have been evaporated as well, but everybody is taking enormous number of hits. Both armies are creeping closer and closer to defeat and to a break point. And in fact, that was it. It was a mutual destruction for me and the early Louis XIV French. A full set really, victory, defeat, and a draw, a mutual destruction draw with everybody being lost, finishing just behind the Ottomans, finishing ahead of the 30 Years' War Swedish, finishing marginally ahead of the 30 Years' Royal French, who swapped my results around with a draw, a victory against me, and a defeat. So again, a good old battle there, good old competition. Looks like everything can stand itself up. Ottomans, Turks, Swedes, Scots Royalish all at the top, and then a civil war, Low Countries, Swedes at the bottom as well, Ottomans in the middle. Very viable army there, and the end of a great first competition.